Thank you so much, Manose, for that beautiful live flute performance. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our guests. I see we have 92 people now in the room, so thank you. I know more will be joining. We are UN Women USA New York, and we raise awareness for UN Women programs worldwide, which support the gender equality and women's empowerment in over 100 countries. Thank you to everyone who made a donation to be here tonight. We are excited about the amount of money we're able to send to UN Women programs, and you will be entered to win a beautiful cushion if you donated $15 or more. And of course, if you still want to donate, you can do that, and I will enter you into the raffle. There'll be a drawing at the end of this meeting. And so I'm sharing with you the text to give information should you want to do that, and I'll put it in the chat as well. So thank you. We hope tonight will give you some much needed calm, and we are so fortunate to have Tashi Chodron here to share her point of view and guide us in meditation to speak on impermanence and Tara, the female Bodhisattva. So fascinating. After a guided meditation, Tashi can answer some questions, and you'll see that you can send me questions that I can give to Tashi through the chat function. And following the guided meditation and a conversation and Q&A, Mary Luke, my co-president, will share some thoughts on UN Women programs and closing remarks, and then we'll announce our winner. So thank you all for being here. And with that, I am so honored to introduce Tashi Chodron, who teaches the living traditions of the Himalayas at the Rubin Museum and also at the Y Center for Adults Living Well in Washington Heights and Inwood. She's the founder of Voices of Tibet, saving the stories of Tibetan elders to educate the world about Tibet, an advisor to the Acha Himalayan Sisterhood, and she loves cooking, gardening, and pilgrimage. Welcome, Tashi.
So welcome, Tashi Dele. So wonderful to see so many of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Manose, for that beautiful offering of the music. Such a beautiful opening. And thank you to UN USA New York chapter for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you all for joining. So first thing, I like to recite on the verses of 8 Noble Auspicious Prayer. But for that, I like to request or everyone to come with the intention and motivation that this benefits not just oneself, but for the benefit of all sentient beings. So with that kind of intention and motivation, I'm going to recite the 8 Noble Auspicious Prayer. These verses invoke the power of goodness that is exemplified by all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and great divine masters, so that any harm or obstacles may be overcome. So with that, please bear with me. It'll take a little more than a minute. Om Nam Sinam Daranjin, and the Betashi Chojina Jupa in Sanji Chut, and Gende Babetokula Chata Daja, Tashi Major Bota and Dondo Jambe, Bagara Padamba Kolaga, Jacheta Pachin, Bota Patsara Padan, Semjandam Jella Gonta Bebe, Semza Patsara Padan, and Sensam Pepetaji Bebe, they were ship a Jella Chan Salo Jambashin, Paldendoj, and the Sherez Combo. Say Nimbo Tiban, and I'm getting Bobajokundos, Opa Doje Pekalush, and Nobunda, Radini Mai Chantalan, Taji Petichu, Chanchu Sambajela Chantalo, and Chantin Chotaji said, Kamala nyenda dunda binzo pabe o menu janza wanju kolo derin jenda jo jeji chata chodo jawa chuchi sheche mangesumo tempe pabe utaji la monjela chanda lo tamba chembo deju seme mindon den na jebo yukosu pache pota loa memeza namde sete lanze kolo ta tishu la tandon tundoji pewa radi choden jadan de sasumne sumgele tashi benji de chuma jela cha zalo da cha tende chawa bala getanye wa chowa kunjinen de den pa samde ishin Tashi dele bezum zobarjo, dacha tender jawa zon bola getanyo watsowa kujinen de den papin samde ishin do tashi dele bezum zobarsho. Dacha tender jawa zon bola getanyo watsowa kujinen de den papin samde ishin do tashi dele bezum zobarsho. Uje uje nubjanza pema kesar don bola yansen chukin mudunye pema juneshes. Korta kando mambe goche ge jesu da adub jichin jelap jishesu so. Guru Pema Siddhe. Yes, so thank you. Thank you all for joining. And thank you to Stephanie and Mary and Kelly and Susan for putting us all together in this virtual gathering from the comfort of our own place, I guess. I'd like to again share with all of you. I often share this when I lead a meditation. I like every one of us to know how fortunate we are to be reborn as a human being, to be born as a human. And in fact, there is a line in the teaching. It says, "Taljor dini shindu nyepaka." And what that says is that this human birth is very rare, and we may have done something really, really good in many past lifetimes to be born as a human. So it's considered very fortunate to be born in this human form. So I whatever situation and condition that we are in, I often like to let all of us know how fortunate we are to be born. Why it says precious human rebirth in the teaching is that, first of all, as any beings, we are all born with that Buddha nature, the Allah's nature or the Jesus nature. And what is that nature? The wisdom, the warm-heartedness, the loving kindness, the compassion. But, again, because we are human, we have this faculty where we can virtually come like this during this difficult time. Whereas other birth, like animal realm, they don't have that faculty. So that's why it's very, very important to understand and to know how fortunate we are to be born as a human form. And why it says precious human rebirth is because as a human, we can actually, we know what is good, we know what is bad. And so often it says it's up to you, in your hand, where you want to go next. So that Buddha nature, that wisdom that each of us are born with is, although it says it's obscured by the three poisons. And what are those three poisons? Decha, Shedang, Timu. So Decha means, attachment, desire, the clinging. And then Decha, Shedang means anger, hatred, aggression. And then Timu is ignorance, because of ignorance, we create so much suffering. So ignorance is the root cause. And now because of all these afflicted emotions, as we look around, in the world, all the negativity, all the suffering is caused by these three poisons. And so the wisdom, the true nature that each of us are believed to have been born with is like the sun during the daytime. And then these afflicted emotions, the anger, hatred, jealousy, all of that is like the cloud, that obstructs the sun to come shine, right? And so often in the teaching, it says, train your mind. Train your mind in what? trained your mind to reduce these poisons, to reduce these afflicted emotions. And when you reduce, when you tame these afflicted emotions, anger and hatred and all of these, then the wisdom that each of us are believed to have been born with, arises, right? And so that is the happiness. And so when you are a happier and better person, then that butterfly effect of your immediate partner, your family, your neighbors, your community. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing if all of us constantly train our mind to reduce these poisons so that this world will be such a better place, right? And now I want to touch on the impermanence. The impermanence is such an important and teaching, foundational teaching. There is again one line after that is called Chitang Chila Jejang Mitache. So what that means is whatever, everything that is born is impermanence. And I think this COVID-19, all the suffering, all that sadness, all the impermanence that we kind of learn it in a hard way, we kind of understood kind of in a certain way, right? And so the true nature, the nature of reality is that everything that is born is impermanent, that lives. And there, according to the Buddha's teaching, there is no one thing that is independent. Everything is interdependent. Everything is interconnected. We all need each other. Like tonight, we needed the audience needed somebody like this. So we all need each other in order to make a better world, better place. So because of not understanding the nature of reality, we suffer so much. So this teaching and contemplating on impermanence is very, very important. As a lay person, as a lay practitioner, one of the foundational, very important studies is called Ngondro, which means preliminary. And in that, one contemplates on impermanence like 100,000 times of practice. And basically, when you contemplate on impermanence like this, then it's, no little things will bother you much. And also the understanding of impermanence is what we perceive, what seems like, and what the actual things are. When it cannot match, then it brings us so much suffering. So what we perceive, everything that seems lasting, so permanent, and then our mind is so rigid and so fixed. But the object of reality is so impermanent. It's changing constantly. It depends on many causes and conditions. So then we have problems. And that's why we have disappointments, heartbreaks. We always complain about little things here and there, and things like that. So, and that's how we also feel very unsatisfied, feeling of, insecure, feeling of incomplete, feeling of loneliness. Why? Because we are not really understanding the true nature of reality. And so when there is a break in relationship also, there is so much of grasping, and so then we suffer. So if we really understand the reality that everything is impermanent and that changes, it's, when we understand something like that, then it brings us so much calmness, clarity, freedom, and happiness. But not understanding the true nature, the reality, nature of reality will produce so much grasping, which then brings so much suffering, right? So with that impermanence talk, I thought maybe it'll be helpful to talk a little bit on the Tara now, right? And so Tara in ancient language Sanskrit means dolma, and star. In Tibetan, she's called Dolma. The Jejun Dolma. She is the mother of all Buddha. most beloved deity revered in all schools of Vajrayana Buddhism. Now, some of you probably know Vajrayana Buddhism, but others may not. So I'll just tell you a quick introduction into what Vajrayana Buddhism is. Vajrayana Buddhism started, Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava, was invited by the king Tisung Detsen and Shantarakshita to come to Tibet. And that's when Padmasambhava came from India to Tibet in the 8th century, and he revived Buddhism and flourished until this day. And this is what is called Vajrayana Buddhism, or the esoteric tantric Buddhism. Many methods, right? Many methods to what? Many methods to awaken, to enlighten, for the liberation. And so, and it's often known as the Tibetan Buddhism, what you hear now. And in the Tibetan Buddhism, there are 4 main schools. There's Nyingma, which is the oldest. Then there's the Kagyu, there is Sakya, and there's Gelug. And then there's Bon, which is the pre-Buddhist time. So all school of Buddhism, practices Tara. And Tara is known as mother of all, savior. And so the story of Tara, just quickly, there are so many different amazing stories, but this one short story that I thought will really relate to our program tonight is, Tara, many aeons ago, she was born as a princess, and she was really, really beautiful inside out, very kind, very generous, always helping everybody without any discrimination, with so much loving kindness and compassion. And then one day, one of the person went up to Tara and said, "You've always been so kind and so generous. May you be reborn in a male in your next life." And then Tara said, "I will keep coming back in the female form to help all sentient beings, reach enlightenment." So that's the vow Tara took, and Tara always comes in a female form. And now Tara emanates in 21 different forms. Dharma Nishu Tsachik, 21 form. And now I get a smile on my face when I said 21, because when Stephanie first reached out to me and talking about this, and Stephanie had a different date, but then she was going on, and then she said, "How about, I think 21, May 21 works better. Can we do it on that day?" And then I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then the topic already is picked. It's Tara, and little, Stephanie then didn't know. Stephanie didn't know that it was 21 Tara emanation at that time. And when I mentioned to her that this is so beautiful, I think it's just meant to be, because the topic is Tara. And then it's on the 21st today, and it's May, right? The 5th month. And May is like what we all celebrated Mother's Day. And so it's so beautiful how all of this is aligned. And when we all try to do something for a good cause, genuinely, everything comes together. Everything comes together. And so Tara emanates in 21 different forms. Out of the 21 forms, 2 of the most popular and the common Taras are white Tara and green Tara. Now, white Tara, besides the colors, sits in a lotus position, and then white Tara, in fact, associates with a long life and longevity, and then green Tara associates with enlightened activity. And green Tara, as you see on the screen, green Tara is blessing us. She's on the screen, and she's sitting, as you see how she's sitting in a sort of left leg folded, and right leg kind of stretched out, stepping on a lotus. This sitting position is called royal ease position. And then Tara's left hand, fingers, holding the stem of the lotus, the Utpala flower. The flower is sprouted on the left shoulder, as you see. And then her left 3 fingers are up. That is to symbolize the 3 jewels. And then the right hand, palm facing up, fingers kind of pointing towards the earth. This particular gesture is called supreme generosity, bestowing, granting, giving. So you ask Tara for help, she's ever ready to jump out, to protect you, to bestow, to grant. So it's amazing how there's such beautiful stories of how Tara protects you. I've heard my mother saying that if a person pray to Tara with undivided faith and devotion, even if the person is bit by a poisonous snake, one can be cured. So now please don't go touch a poisonous snake though. And so then Tara, now these Tara's eight, protecting from the 8th grade fear is what we are looking at, this tanka that we see here. And then the 8 fears, it has outer aspects as well as inner aspects. The outer aspects is, as you see there, it's some harm to physical body or to the property. What you see in the scenery above there, you see that elephant on our right side when you're looking at the screen. And so then on the left side, you will see a lion on the Tara's right shoulder above there. And so these outer aspect is getting stepped on by a crazy elephant and getting killed or eaten by a lion. So these, and then the house with a fire right below the lion, above there, and that fire symbolizes the anger. So elephants is ignorance, the inner aspect. The lion, inner aspect is pride. So these inner aspects obstructs you from reaching the path, to enlightenment. So these are the mental defilements. And now, since with the time of interest, I will touch with maybe one scene here, perhaps the scene of the house, Tara protecting from the fire. Now this one, there is physical and property damage, right? And so the fire, connects to or symbolizes the inner defilement is anger. Anger does nothing but bring suffering. Anger is considered, one of your worst enemy. Anger only brings suffering to oneself, to others. So, so in fact, there is this great saying that one of my spiritual teacher friend, recently I overheard him say, there is a saying in the Dharma, Kongcho tabu dikpa me, shepa tabu gewa me. So what that stands for is there is no other bigger sin or negative karma than anger. The only consequences is you fall in the hell realm. And then there is no bigger merit than patience. I think which was tested to us in the beginning with the audio and the screen. And so such is, these metaphors. And now one child, asked me, how does Tara protect? And so not by magically disappearing, a situation with a magic wand or anything, but the fundamental way Tara or any Buddhas or great divine masters benefits sentient beings is by teaching us the Dharma. Now, when I say Dharma, it's not any religion. Dharma basically means to understand the true nature of reality. And then inspiring us to investigate its meaning so that we reach a correct understanding. In fact, Buddha never said, follow me blindly. He in fact said you have to, investigate, analyze, study my teachings, just like how a goldsmith will dig and rub and scratch and wash, and then finally the gold shines, right? So that's the kind of, examples that was given about Tara. Now, with this, I thought it would be great, the 21 Tara, the praises, it is 4-5 pages long, really long, right? And the more you recite, the more the blessing is. So my parents' generation who were born in Tibet and raised there. Most of them are illiterate. And Tara's, the long prayer, 4 or 5 pages long, all of them have memorized and they recite. I grew up watching, seeing, hearing the elders recite Tara's prayer every day, every day for her protection from Tara. And now the long prayer, homage to Tara, is also condensed into 10-syllable mantra. And now the 10th syllable is Om Tare, Tu Tare, Tu Re Swaha. So that's the mantra. And perhaps if we can get that mantra. And now Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha, Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha, Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha. In fact, there is one sentence that also says Tara protecting from all these diseases like fever. It's so interesting. And that has been there for thousands of years. And if it's there now, it applies, right? And His Holiness Dalai Lama recently, sent message to all the Tibetans and the practitioners to recite Tara mantra. And so hundreds of millions of Tara mantras were recited by, all over the world. And all that Holiness said to dedicate and to purify all the negativity in the world and to overcome this COVID. There's so much fear that all of us having. So it was for that purpose, millions, hundreds of millions of Tara mantras and likewise Padmasambhava mantras were recited. Now with that, I'd like to request our friend Manose to play us a tune of the Tara musical offering. Thank you so much. And then we will do the meditation and I will come back. Thank you.
Thank you, Tashi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was so beautiful. Now I'd like to share. So all these, the eight fear, the protecting from the eight fears, the outer and inner aspects, there is actually antidote for each of these, the defilements. And so the antidote for anger, the fire to the anger, is to practice on loving kindness and compassion. Compassion, just like a mother to the only child, mother that with so much compassion, and we all, everybody who's gathered here, we are all come from a mother's womb, right? And so, we know how the mother's love and compassion is. Even look at animals, how much care they give to, a baby or a child. So like that, our loving compassion, kindness, it's always very good to give rise to such mental activity, so that it will stay in your mind stream. And when you are able to do that, then it brings you so much joy, calmness, clarity, and all of that. There is a saying that compassion is the bridge to awakening, to enlightenment. So it's such an important, very most important thing. And so for that, I thought it would be great to practice on this ancient tradition called Tong Len. Tong is basically in Tibetan means to send, and then Len is to receive. What are we sending and receiving is sending, or giving, bestowing all the joy, all the love, compassion, food for those who don't have food, water for those who don't have water, things like that. And then Len, receiving or taking or removing, right? All the pain and sicknesses and all the suffering. So let's do that together for a few seconds. And we can close our eyes and let's practice on the Tonglen. It's considered one of the most powerful way to practice. So let us receive or remove pain and suffering. Breathe in, and then exhale, breathe out, send all the joy, loving kindness, compassion, happiness. And then Len, receive. You can think of, a friend who is not well, or a neighbor, and then slowly expand that visualization to everybody. And so let's receive or remove, all the pain and suffering and all that negativity from everyone, including somebody who's done so much bad to you. That's just even there, suffering. Let us help to remove it. And now let's send joy, happiness. Exhale. Send water to those who don't have water. Send food for those who are starving. All that good things. And now breathe in. Remove all the sufferings, pain. You can think of a friend or a relative, and then think of everybody from the core, genuinely from your bottom of your heart, just with so much compassion and loving kindness. Just at this moment, let us just be genuine and try to help remove everybody's pain and sickness and suffering. with so much compassion and loving kindness. And now let's exhale and send all the joy, happiness, good wishes. Okay. So you can practice like this in your day-to-day level. It's considered very, very powerful to do this Tonglen practice, and basically it also helps everybody and oneself when you genuinely practice like this. Now I'm going to lead a short meditation. Let us all sit together. Relax your body, just be very comfortable, okay? And if you're sitting on a cushion, keep your legs in lotus position. And if you're sitting on a chair, your feet firmly on the ground. Keep your palms together in your lap or on your knees. I'm going to do a very quick, short guided meditation. And in this stand, I'd like to request everyone to close your eyes. If you are comfortable with your eyes open, then feel free. But I'd like to just emphasize everyone to close your eyes and breathe in and out. Just relax your muscles in your body. Just make sure that your spine is straight, not stiff, but straight. Just be aware of your body sensation. And just notice if you have any pain in any parts of your body. Now with this awareness of your body, we can take our awareness outside of our body into the sound and the smell. If you hear any noise from your neighbors or birds singing, just let it be and just notice that. Don't chase after the sound. Now with this awareness, let's go beyond that into the space around you, beyond the house that you are in, and then the whole city and space beyond the cloud. Now, let us visualize a beautiful, bright, blissful Taras light above our crown chakra. And in your mind, from the bottom of your heart, approach to Tara to help, to heal, to protect you, and to protect all beings. So with this kind of supplication, sincerely from the heart, visualize the light scanning your body from your head down to your neck, filling the whole upper body, your arms and your fingers, your lower body, your legs, and the tip of your toes. Now visualize your whole body is translucent, crystal clear. And now visualize the whole light expanding the whole world, filling the whole world with this illuminating, blissful light, purifying everything, including the environment, the water, and all of that. And now dissolve all that light back in your heart chakra and sit with that for a few seconds. Breathing in, breathing out. If you feel some kind of lightness in your body, just let it be, don't be attached. Breathe in, breathe out. Just be so happy to be able to do this dedication for all beings' benefit. I'm going to ring the singing bowl, and you can open your eyes when you're ready. Now, I request everyone to fold your hands to your heart. O Tara, Mother of all Buddhas, in the excellence of all your goodness and sacred marks, may we become identical with you in every way. By the power of this prayer, may I and others, wherever they may be, in every direction, may all poverty, illness, obsessions, and wars be pacified. May peace and good fortune increase without end. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be free from the causes of suffering. May all be happy. May we overcome this pandemic swiftly. May all those who have passed away from this COVID-19 have better rebirth. May all those in the front line, everybody, those who are wearing masks, staying quarantine, everyone be protected. And those who are in the hospital, may they heal swiftly. Gewa Magin Dodu Kunla Ho. May I dedicate this merit to all motherly sentient beings in the sixth realm. Thank you. Thank you all so much. And please stay safe.
Very beautiful. Thank you, Tashi. We are so fortunate to have this beautiful moment with you.
Thank you, Steph.
I'd like to open up the floor for questions, a Q&A for Tashi, and you can ask your questions by simply writing to me in the chat, and I will refer as many questions as I can. And I'd love to begin, if I may, by just simply asking you, Tashi, a bit about your early life and your education and growing up in refugee camps in India, which has got to be a story of inspiration about impermanence that we'd all like to hear a bit about. So if you would share that.
Oh my goodness. Do we all have, how many days we can all be together? No, I'm kidding. So I don't know if all of you read the bio, but I am born and raised in the refugee camps in India. It's one of the largest Tibetan refugee camps. My mother was a teenager when, when the communists took over Tibet and crossed the Himalayan mountain on foot and came into exile in India along with the Dalai Lama and about 90,000 Tibetans or so. And so, yeah, I often say I feel very, very fortunate to have been born at the foot of my root teacher's monastery, the monastery that has 4,000 to 5,000 monks and nuns. If they are not Bodhisattva, what are they? They are, they take care of all these monks and nuns, educate them. They all escape from Tibet or border from India, Nepal, all over. They've come down, and holiness gives them education and, shelter, all of that, clothing, so amazing. So I was so fortunate to have been born at the foot of that monastery. And also, growing up in the refugee camps, I was also lucky to have sponsors from Germany, actually. And so I had the opportunity to go to Catholic school, all girls Catholic school. So I had a very good education as well. And then, came to this part of the world during the senior Bush time, when there was a decision between the US government and the Tibetan government in exile to bring in 1,000 displaced Tibetans from India and Nepal to resettle in America. And so I'm part of that resettlement project. So that is in a nutshell. And I hope that, people who are suffering everywhere, try to look at, worst case scenario. That's how in the teaching is, like you look at worst case scenario and then you feel fortunate to what you have, that kind of idea, because then only we'll have hope, right? There's that light on the other side of the tunnel or something like that. But the light can be in every section of the tunnel, actually. So every situation that we are in, I think it's very important to think of the worst case scenario and think that, at least, I'm this kind of thing, so that we can actually survive and keep, carry on and doing whatever we can to bring the true nature. Thank you. Sorry, it's like in a very short.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I have a number of great questions here to share with you. I'll start with, what would you recommend? This is from Dawn. What would you recommend as a first reading for someone who is just beginning to understand Tara?
To understand Tara. I don't mean to advertise any Google or anything, but it's amazing. There is so much stuff online, right? But I also know that one of my very good friends, Rochelle, who actually has this site called Milarepa Children's Chorus, and she has come up with 21 Tara cards that has the image and the color and the emblems, and then on the other side it has description of what each Tara represents, and so something like that. I hope that helps.
Great. I'm going to try and get through a number of these. This is practical. What kind of things can we do to try and keep compassion and love in our hearts every day?
Every day when you wake up in the morning, just wake up. How if I share my practice, when I get up, I always try to pray and say, if I cannot help others, at least I hope I don't say a single word, I don't do a single thing that will harm other people. So always wake up with that kind of motivation and intention that you're going to try your best to help whatever you can. Because my mother used to say, even animals know how to find food for themselves. So for us, being born as a human, just getting our own food and just living, then what is the use? So we should always try to help others as much as you can, like what you guys are doing, the UN Women, for, international women affected by the pandemic. Wow, that's so amazing, so powerful. And then for gender equality, where there's so much suffering. And then for domestic violence, look at the governor's report yesterday. That there's going to be a new task force because of this COVID, this quarantine. There is the domestic violence has increased. So all these, so when you wake up, try to do whatever you can to help. Okay, and that's the kind of mind stream and motivation only leads you to happiness. And so no little things will bother you. So that's the kind of, I'm sharing my 2 cents. Something that I have, continuously heard from my great teachers, from my parents, and all of that. So,
thank you. I'm going to combine 2. One is, how do you see Tara's divine feminine empowering women around the world today? And the second part to that is a big one. What are the 21 forms and what are the 8 fears?
When I work at the Ribbon and I meet so many all age, like college students, little kids, we do school tours and all of this, and most of them, when I ask them, Buddha, is it a male or a female? Most of them say male. And so I give them inspiration. I say, well, Buddha basically means awakened one. Buddha comes in male form and female form, so it comes in all form. And so I think, to understand Buddha doesn't necessarily mean one person. Buddha in Sanskrit means awakened. Awakened in what? The wisdom. So that's what it stands for. And so seeing Tara, blessing with so much compassion, loving kindness. And so always praying that may I, get a little bit of you so that I can benefit and help others. That kind of motivation and intention in the day-to-day, level, so that can actually come in your mind stream.
Thank you. I think that's all the time we have for a Q&A. I really appreciate it. And I know that a lot of people have sent their thanks and gratitude to you, Tashi, and I will share all of those with you. And I would like to hand it over to Mary Luke for some closing remarks.
Tashi, thank you so much from the bottom of all of our hearts for that wonderful inspiration and
Thank you.
introduction to the Divine Mother Tara, and to Manose for your beautiful music of the mantra flute. I have not heard that for much too long. So we are really living in a unique moment globally. And we have to thank Tashi also for giving us her wisdom on impermanence. We really hope that from this chaos that we're all experiencing, we can create new positive opportunities to live peacefully with respect for the dignity and human rights for every person on this planet. And that really is what UN Women is all about. So I wanted to just uplift a few voices from people who are suffering now. Refugees from Myanmar fleeing persecution, over 800,000 of them living right now in crowded camps. These are women, children, and families, especially, who fled their homes, faced near starvation and death due to the violence and discrimination they experienced back in their own homes. And now they're facing the coronavirus. Add to that, they've also been experiencing the last few days in Bangladesh and India, the threat of one of the deadliest typhoons ever. With UN Women's support, these Rohingya refugees in the Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh have organized networks of volunteers to educate women and girls about keeping safe and finding ways to avoid infection. And as Tashi was saying, these are women helping themselves to lift themselves up and sharing their kindness and compassion. So we want to thank all of you, our friends and supporters, and say that programs like these will benefit from your gentle kindness and your support. We do recognize, of course, that people are suffering here in New York and in the United States as well. So we simply appreciate any donations that anybody can make if you're able to do it. So at any level, please just text to UN Women, and we'll really appreciate, and all the women of the world will appreciate your donations. So I want to end by thanking Susan O'Connor, who's a board member, wellness coach, and who introduced us to Tashi. Thank you, Susan. And she will be our coach next week at a yoga class on Wednesday, May 27th. So I hope that you'll all tune in for her too. And I also am so grateful to my co-president, Stephanie, who's done such a wonderful job in putting this event together, and whom I really appreciate that as I complete my term as president, I will be able to hand this over to her very capable hands and go on to my own new adventures and understand that is what impermanence is about as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, Stephanie, do we have a winner?
We do indeed. Let's all go to the winner. Here we go.
Congratulations. Thank you so much to the Sangha Peace Project and to Jennifer Carter for giving us this wonderful donation. And congratulations to Sarah Chris. And thank you all for coming, and blessings to all of you for good health and safety. And thank you very much. Namaste.
So I just want to say one thing. Tomorrow is Sakadawa, the holy month. One good merit is multiplied 100,000 times, and one bad karma is again multiplies. So I think UN Women's cause is going to be there. If anybody wants to support or do any good things, it's such a holy time to accumulate good merit that brings so much happiness. So thank you all for joining. Thank you so much.